Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome to this special interview on the RCB Radio Sports Show, live at 92.5 and 94.8 FM, and online at www.rcb.ie throughout Ireland. And I'm delighted this evening to talk about a unique sport, a sport that was brought to us our attention there recently. It's a new sport. It's having its first pay-per-view. It's following on from the styles of MMA and UFC, and mixed martial artists from all the world are attending these events and taking part. But there's a unique twist. They're in the ring, but they're fighting with pillows. And I'm joined by the CEO of the Pillow Fighting Championships, Steve Williams, to talk about the first ever pay-per-view event. It's been held in Florida on this Saturday and January the 29th. And Steve, pillow fighting, is this a new sport? Is this a new concept, or has this been an actual sport that has been in the background for actual a good time, but is now coming to mainstream media and mainstream focus around the world? Or is this a new concept that's a brainstorm of viewers?
It's interesting because, we believe that pillow fighting is the first sport probably ever created by cavemen somewhere, thousands of years ago or millions of years ago. Whenever humans started putting their head on a pillow, maybe a stuffed goat, somebody got whacked over the head with a goat stuffed full of hay or something like that, and they had a good fight. So it's probably the only sport that everyone in the world has actually done it in any country. Every country's got their favorite sports, soccer, American football, whatever it is. But pillow fighting is something we all did as kids. It was never formalized. It's like tag, you see these alternative sports like tag coming up, cornhole, let's say darts, bar sports, things like that popping up. And somehow now, we formalized the Pillow Fight Championship. And we created a good set of rules that we're always modifying to make the sport more interesting, and also just something that makes more sense. But it's something we all know. Everybody threw a pillow, tossed a pillow at their mom or dad, or they, her brother, sister, brother, and now we formalized it. So we pay the fighters. We have a good prize, like for the pay-per-view we have Saturday night on Fite TV. By the way, there's a $5,000 prize for the winner. So there'll be one champion on the male side and one for women also. It's just been incredible. We really started PFC 4 months ago, and then 4 months ago we exploded. They exploded online. It exploded from the the fan base, from the reaction we're getting from the media. We've been invited to number of countries. Brazil is one. We've already done 3 events there. A lot of our fighters, actually, about half of them initially were from Brazil. There's a lot of MMA fighters that are in the South Florida area, so we're very lucky to have. We're really a ground central for the fight community. South Florida, we've got boxers here, MMA fighters, jiu-jitsu, and wrestling as well. So we've got a nice base of professional athletes to pick from. That's where we wanted to start. But we're starting to branch out a little bit. Actually, our top female fighter, Kendall Volker, is a former volleyball player at the University of Virginia, and she's an absolute beast, and so it doesn't have to be, let's say, a fighter that's your best pillow fighter. It could actually probably be anybody, because you just have different body styles, different techniques, different weights. There's a lot of variables, and then they, just like any fight, they can all be utilized one way or another for pillow fighting.
And Steve, I was looking at a video there today and doing a bit of research. It's 3 rounds. In terms of the scoring, is it blows, strikes of the pillow to the head and strikes of the pillow to the abdomen and stomach? Do you get scores for maybe striking the pillow to the legs or the arms, or is the scoring directly the abdomen and the head, and do the fighters have to be standing on their feet the whole time? I'm just thinking of wrestlers there, for example. Can they actually wrestle a person down to the ground and then hit him with the pillow, or what are the sort of unique sort of twists about it?
Oh yeah. Well, when we first started, we went with a 2-minute rounds. There were 3 2-minute rounds with 45 seconds in between each round. And our very first fight was with 2 current UFC heavyweights. And by the beginning of the 3rd round, these guys were hanging on each other. They actually couldn't make it all 3 rounds, even though you're talking about a total of 6 minutes of fighting, with the minute in between each round. They couldn't make it. And after that, we actually shortened up the rounds to 1 minute and 30 seconds each, with a minute of rest. And so that's where we're at now, and it seems to be a pretty good number. But it's amazing because a pillow fight, you're talking about each round being 1 minute and 30 seconds. It's nothing compared to, from a time perspective, as compared to, let's say, a jiu-jitsu round or a MMA, or boxing, which is much longer. But just 3 rounds of pillow fighting, I will tell you that the fighters are absolutely gassed. There's something about it, I guess, swinging the pillow, it creates some pressure. It's not a movement that anyone does in any kind of other athletic sport. You don't run and throw a pillow at the same time. Anyway, so it just wears you out, and there's a lot of action. There's obviously a lot more offense with pillow fighting than there is with any other, let's say, MMA sport, because you're more on offense. You're trying to score in the head. The points are all scored on the head. There's 3 points if you did a 360, which is kind of a backhand spin that you do. If you can score a hit in the head with the 360, then you get 3 points. If you knock someone down, you get 3 points. But it's all about the headshots. We first started, we allowed anywhere. But to be honest, the leg shots and the body shots, they're boring. What's really nice to see is the smack to the head. You see a little bit of a concussion there happening, and it's a good show. But body shots, it's a pillow, so it's not so exciting. So only the headshots count, and fights have to be put on a show, right? And so we're modifying the rules. We may adjust that down the road, but you can absolutely hit someone anywhere you want, but you're not going to get points for it. Now, you could take someone's leg out. If they get a little off balance and you hit them just right, you can absolutely knock them down on the ground, and you're going to get 3 points for that. The headshots, we've probably had about 10 knockdowns from headshots, which is really amazing to see. Nobody's ever been knocked out yet. That will be the most incredible moment if that ever happens. But the other thing is that the pillow weight.
Yes, I was just going to ask you that.
Yeah, the pillows we call combat pillows. They're not just regular pillows. The outside, the case, it's a special ripstop nylon with handles sewn on. There's actually 6 handles sewn onto the case. We filed actually patent pending on the case design, and it just allows you to really grip it good and have more control over the pillow itself. But the contents of the pillow, it's we've got several different designs and weights, and it depends on what kind of fight you want to have. If you're going to have a fight with, let's say, little kids, we'll go with the 1.5 pound pillow. It's a little softer, made with with just chopped up foam. But if we want to go with, let's say, some MMA fighters and do more hardcore fight, we'll go with a 2.5 pound pillow made out of a solid piece of foam. And it's not visible, you know, the pillows look the same visually, but the way it feels, it's a totally different world. Getting hit by, let's say, an MMA fighter at, you know, 100 miles an hour with a fairly hard piece of foam. And it hurts. You know what? It hurts, but there's still no blood. Nobody gets knocked out, at least so far. And there's really no recovery other than some sore muscles because of the, you know, the exercise aspect to it.
And Steve, is there different weight categories in terms of fighters? You mentioned there's a prize for each sort of event, a 5,000 event, but in that, do you have to be in a certain weight class for this pay-per-view events now this Saturday, or could a lightweight maybe weighing, say, 90 kilos, 90 kg or something, could they be thrown up against, go in there against someone who might weigh 140 kg, or is there different sort of aspects to it in terms of each pay-per-view?
Absolutely. You know, it's interesting because the weight class, from what we could see, your smaller fighters, your flyweights, you know, your middleweight guys. I mean, your heavyweight guys are always slower. But you know, this is about scoring points, and you know, the big slow giant can get killed. So the speed of the fighter is really important, and the harder, I mean, let's say the faster he can throw that pillow, and do it in a way where the other guy isn't able to block it, and he scores the points faster. So it's
Steve, time is nearly catching up on us now. Steve, what would you say to all our Irish listeners there, all our audience? Your first pay-per-view happening this Saturday, 29th of January in Florida on Fite TV network. What would you say to all the Irish audience who might have never heard of pillow fighting before, might be intrigued, might capture their imagination? What's in store for them, Steve Williams, if they tune in?
Well, it's going to be a great fight. I mean, first of all, the entire world needs a good pillow fight right now. We've got a lot of problems and a lot of stress and anxiety, and to even just watch a pillow fight, there's something about it that's magical. It makes you happy. You see these other MMA fights where people are walking around and boxing and everybody's acting like they're a boxer and they're miserable. But our fights are fun. They're family oriented. There's no blood, and there's no reason not to watch them. You got to watch it once. We've got our very first fight is with the U.S. Marines. We've got 2 U.S. Marines that are fighting. Then we'll have the 2 Jokers. We've got Marcus Perez, who's a former UFC middleweight, that's known as a Joker. And we've got another guy that is also the Joker from this Suicide Squad. And his normal green hair and white face that he's going to be wearing. So it'll be a battle of the Jokers. So it'll look a little bit like a WWE, but it's really going to be a full knockdown, drag out fight with these 2 guys because they're both trained, very well trained fighters and very fast. And then from there, we'll have the normal championship. We'll start with the 2 Jokers, and it'll be, you know, there'll be a new fight every 10 minutes. So it's very quick. The fights themselves are going to last a total of about 6.5 minutes, you know, with the time in between, a little bit of time there for the announcers and to just introduce the fighters, and then boom, we get right into it. There's no these long delays like any of the other type of MMA fights or boxing. It's just boom, 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 boom. So, you know, it's something different, and this is really this will be our 7th event. And they're going to keep getting better. I mean, we believe at some point we'll be having multi-million-dollar prizes for the winners of the big international events. You know, big massive pay-per-views. You know, like you might see with Conor McGregor and you know, some of the other big guys. By the way, we do have Martin Brimage, who actually fought Conor McGregor. He will actually be one of our fighters, so you'll be able to see Martin. He lost against Conor, but he's a show. He's a phenomenal. There's a couple guys that I'll say might take the prize, and I think he's in the top 3. So it should be a lot of fun.
On that note, Steve Williams, thanks for joining us this evening, the CEO of Pillow Fight Championship. We wish you all the best on your pay-per-view on Fite TV, your first pay-per-view on Florida on January the 29th, Steve. Hopefully it's a big success for you, and hopefully we'll be speaking to you in the near future when you're holding international events here in Europe and the UK and Ireland. But for the moment, Steve Williams, take care, God bless, and good day to you, sir.
Thank you so much.